Now, I'm a lawyer. As such, I'm an officer of the court. I can't disobey the law.
But a girl's whole future's at stake, a whole life.
Karen, we're going to the university. All right. Look, I can't not take you to the university. However, I guess there's nothing stopping me taking you via someplace or other. Well, such as this place, for instance. Not really out of our way, just a few kilometers.
Oh, Steve.
All right. We go to Stavros' place, but then we go to the university.
You're the boss.
It's about my Clary.
Yes, Mrs. Birdsworth, what about Clary?
The screws that killed him.
That's a very serious accusation.
And I was training him to whistle, too.
Just a moment, Mrs. Birdsworth. Exactly who was Clary?
My cockroach. My trained cockroach. They sprayed all over the place. And he fell right off his perch. Sitting on my head he was, and he went plop straight into me cup of Milo. Poor little fella. Legs stuck out, stiff as a board he was.
Mrs. Davidson, is this woman entirely sane?
Of course I'm sane. You don't think a nong could train a cockroach how to whistle, do you?
Go away, Mrs. Birdsworth. This inquiry is not here for the purpose of providing you with entertainment.
What about compensation?
It's pointless talking to these prisoners. Not one has come up with a serious complaint.
Perhaps because they have nothing to complain about.
Use your loaf, Doreen.
Well, why'd you do it?
Oh, if you'd let it bitched your heads off, you probably would have got the governor the chop.
Wacko the diddle-o!
You thick tart. If Davidson goes, we'll probably end up with Vera as boss cocky.
Oh, jeez, I never thought of that.
What are you looking for, you silly old bag?
A cockroach.
I'm sure there's a place for Mrs. Davidson's methods. A private boarding school, for instance, but not the prison system.
You have specific examples, of course, Miss Bennett.
I have.
I thought you might.
One, when Lynn Warner went missing from work release, the police were not immediately notified. And again when, against my advice, Mrs. Davidson allowed a social event to take place in the grounds. Well, there was insufficient security, and this resulted in vandalism and utter chaos.
The barbecue, yes.
Mrs. Davidson allows visits with no proper limits, and for the most ridiculous and sentimental reasons.
Sentiment? You feel that Mrs. Davidson is allowing a heart to rule ahead in the running of the prison?
Oh, putting it mildly.
Yes. Allowing that sort of sentimentality to prevail can be dangerous. It could almost lead one into going bail for a known criminal and putting a substantial amount of money at risk. Miss Bennett?
But what about Irene?
Maybe she'll get very rich and come into my restaurant someday. I'll be polite to her. I'll give her a good table, and I'll be married to a nice girl who hasn't been in jail.
Come on, Karen, we're going round in circles.
Look, I have to go now. Helvetia restaurant, nice place, fresh on Marthas. You come by one night, huh? Look, you're a nice lady. You want to stop worrying about girls from jail. Who can help them? Who cares?
Let's go to the university.
You know, I almost had the feeling that you agreed with him.
I'm sorry it had to turn out like this.
And the department will follow your recommendation?
I'm afraid so. I'm sorry, but I believe it's for the good of the prison. I'm sure one day you'll see it that way, too.
Vera, would you mind coming to my office, please?
Not at all. How did it go?
Not well. Not well at all.
Oh, what a pity. What's the main problem?
Smith and Ferguson were each given 2 days in solitary.
2 days? They deserve at least a week each.
I can only tell you what went on.
Sorry.
None of the prisoner's complaints were acted upon, but he did find fault, grave fault, with the level of control I exercise over the prisoners and with my capabilities as a disciplinarian.
Well, I hate to tell you, but I told you so.
He has recommended some changes which materially affect you, Vera. I suppose I shall be the one to tell you.
It'd be the fair thing.
We are going to alter the system along the Fairley lines.
Fairly?
Yes. We are going to increase the number of male officers and staff, and I'm afraid I'm going to have a male deputy governor.
But I thought...
Vera, you will still be a senior officer.
He used to give me roses. I wish he could again. But that was on the outside, and things were different then. On the inside, the sun still shines, and the rain falls down. But the sun and rain are prisoners too when morning comes around.